Hello my people, FinerBub here. Thanks for checking out the video. Today we're talking about hiking boots, specifically my new Asolo Fugitive GTX boots. Since I just bought these this summer, this is just going to be more of a first impressions video, and later on, once I've gotten a chance to use these for more hikes, I'll give a fuller, more extensive review. But before we get into that, just a little tidbit for those of you who don't know. On this channel, I'm all about sharing my thoughts and experience on the best spots to check out and the best gear to bring with. So if, like me, you want to spend more time outside appreciating the finer things in life, do yourself a favor and consider subscribing. Also, feel free to check out the description below for links to any of the gear or the information resources I mentioned. Alrighty then, without further ado, let us begin. So, as I said before, today we're talking about footwear, specifically the Fugitive GTX hiking boots from Asolo. Before I talk about why I decided to buy these boots, I want to first talk about other types of hiking / outdoor shoes that I've used in the past and how it informed my decision to get these boots. So that way you get a feel for whether or not these might be a good option for you. So first and foremost, I'm just going to come out and say that I have really wide feet and I've always had a hard time finding shoes that I can wear comfortably all day long. And they're not just wide. They're like weirdly shaped, and I have like this extra space for a sixth toe or something, but yeah, strange. First I'll talk about why I decided to get these boots in the first place, and then I'll talk about how they fit into my sort of repertoire of footwear, and also we'll get into a little bit of foot care towards the end of the video. So yeah, I've used these for 3 hikes now. I hiked the Indian Head Mountain Loop in the Catskills, which is about a 7-mile hike, and then I did another 8-mile loop in New Jersey, and I also hiked the Tuckerman Ravine Trail to the peak of Mount Washington, which was 4 miles in each direction. And so far they've been great. They broke it in very easily. Definitely somewhere in the middle of the second hike, I kind of felt like they were fully broken in. Boots are definitely unnecessary for this hike. I'm really only wearing them so that I could keep breaking them in because they're still pretty new. It's only the second hike I've done. Probably gone about 10 miles total in these boots, but yeah, they're already much more broken in than they were the first day I went hiking. But yeah, you definitely don't need that much ankle support or waterproofness or warmth on these trails here. Yeah, see there, doing fine in sneakers. I probably could have worn my sneakers, but definitely enjoy the feeling of a nice, good broken in pair of boots. So one thing I've noticed that's really helped with the breaking in of these boots is just to sort of stop and retie them pretty frequently. And yeah, I feel like they're almost totally broken in now.
How many miles you got on them so far?
So we've done just over 7 today, and I think I did around 7 point something last Friday. Yeah, so about 15 miles before you break in these boots. And you're supposed to step in some puddles and stuff because I guess it helps the leather form around your foot.
Yeah, Asolo's best, dude. And I love the light, the newer model, the light.
Oh, have you have those?
I've had them for like almost a year and a half, 2 years now.
Wow. When it comes to breaking in a new pair of boots, the key is really just keep walking, keep untying your shoes, keep retying them tighter, and over time the leather will sort of fit around your feet. And with these boots especially, they recommend that you step in a few puddles. You know, they are waterproof, so you're not going to get your feet wet, but I guess that helps the leather form to your feet a little more easily. So I've kind of been after a pair of these boots for a while. My dad has had multiple pairs of these Asolo Fugitive boots over the years, and a couple of my brothers have owned them as well. And they've all had positive reviews. The fact that they just keep buying new pairs of these over the years is just a testament to their quality, and I really just wanted to try them out. Previously, I had a pair of more affordable high-tech boots. And then back in 2017, I decided I want to get myself a pair of Asolos. So I went into an REI looking for a pair, and I learned that the Fugitives, these models that my dad had and that my brothers had, didn't come in wide sizes. So personally, I have very wide feet, very strangely shaped feet, and I always find it very hard to find comfortable shoes. Yeah, so one thing to note about footwear is that personal preference really comes into play here a lot more than in other categories of outdoor gear. You know, there are lots of different schools of thought in how this should be approached. But for me, I've kind of broken it down into a few separate categories. I'd say that you have your long walks, which are on, relatively mild, flat terrain. Then you have, your rocky, sort of more scrambly hikes. And then you have like those rocky, scrambly hikes, but that are also soaking wet. So you can go in a couple different directions when it comes to footwear. You can go high tops or low tops. So these are high tops. The Scarpa Mojito shoes that I wore on my Burroughs Range Trail loop in the Catskills last year, those are low tops. However, those are not waterproof. These are. I will only go for a waterproof shoe or boot if it's a boot. I'll never get low top waterproof shoes just because waterproof shoes tend to dry out a lot slower than their non-waterproof counterparts, and it's a lot easier to get a low top shoe wet because if you step in a puddle that's just like up to your ankle length, you'll still get water in through the top, whereas with a boot it's a little bit higher. It makes more sense for it to be waterproof because you can step in some puddles and not worry about the water coming in over the top. When I'm hiking like a long distance hike over fairly mild terrain, I'll pretty much exclusively wear trail runners. I have the Ultra Lone Peak trail runners. I've had a few pairs of them. They're really comfortable, really great. They do have a wide foot box, so those are fantastic for those types of hikes. However, last year when I was hiking Mount Monadnock, which is a hike I've done a lot of times in the past, but mostly, am I gonna get attacked by water sprinklers right now? Save the camera. I think we're safe. So when I hiked Mount Monadnock last year, you know, Mount Monadnock's a hike that I've done a bunch of times before. I'd never done it in trail runners though. And I kind of realized that trail runners don't really work for every type of hike. Whenever you have hikes where you're gonna be gripping lots of rocks at steep angles and your feet are gonna be sliding around inside your shoes, you want a much more rigid shoe. Trail runners are much more comfortable if you're just gonna be walking with a heavy pack over very long distances for long periods of time. So like you're gonna get in lots of miles on trail runners in places, you know, like Shenandoah National Park or in the Maroon Bells Snowmass Wilderness where I was last summer, where the trails are much more flat and mild, not quite as rocky as in the northeastern United States, like in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. Personally, I really love my Scarpa Mojito shoes. I actually bought those on my honeymoon in Italy. We were gonna do a day hike in Italy and I didn't have any hiking shoes because my cat had soiled my most recent pair of Ultras, the blue ones that you can see in my Hiking the Buckland Trail to Killington video. Put a link right there if you're interested. But yeah, I needed to buy a pair of hiking shoes and they really didn't have any good wide sizes. Since the laces on the Scarpa Mojitos go all the way to the toe, you can really widen out that foot box, and so those are pretty comfortable for wide feet as well. They do have the Vibram soles, so they're super grippy. They're kind of like approach shoes for climbing, I guess. At least that's what my climbing friends sort of describe them as. Ooh, sun's coming out. Getting some golden hour light on my face here. Yeah, so those shoes are really good for rock scrambly hikes that are not wet because they're a low top shoe and because the laces go all the way to the toe there. You can really get some water over the edge of those and they can get wet pretty easily. Typically, if I know my feet are gonna get wet, I'll just wear my trail runners because I know that they're gonna dry out quickly. All right, my feet are already wet. I'm just gonna go for it. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's cold. Oh boy. I can see the water coming out. And you know, when I was in Colorado, I would just like walk through the rivers with trail runners on and then just like keep walking. And then every time we take a break, you know, you take off your shoes, you let your socks dry out a little bit. But yeah, I was really just missing a certain type of shoe in my kind of collection that fit a certain type of hike, and that was mainly rocky, wet hikes. I mentioned in my Catskills video last year that I wish I had had some sort of waterproof hiking boots like my brother had. My brother actually was wearing a pair of these during that hike, and the Scarpas were nice, but personally I found that like walking really long distances in those isn't quite as comfortable. They're kind of more of like a short day hike or like a quick rock scramble type shoe. And then again, they're also not great for like deep puddles or mud or anything like that, just because, you know, water can come in over the top. I will say though that I will try to wear low top shoes. Can you shut up? I'm trying to record a video here. I will say though that I will try to wear low top shoes in almost every circumstance, just because they say a pound on your feet is equivalent to 10 pounds on your back, and I don't know how that ratio works out exactly, but yeah, I've definitely found that you have a much easier time hiking with less clunky shoes. So, you know, I'll opt for the trail runners if I feel like the terrain suits them, and then I'll sort of opt for the Scarpas if it's a little bit more rough, because my feet won't slide around in those shoes nearly as much. They're not quite as cushioned, they're not quite as comfortable, and they're not quite as easy to just keep going and going and going, but my feet are much more secure in there and they'll stay put. And then these I sort of see as a just waterproof high top version of the Scarpas. They do make Asolos with Vibram soles. However, I wanted to try out the classic Fugitives just because those have just been a staple of my family's like hiking ethos for decades now, and I've just wanted to try them out. I also heard that the Asolo Fugitive GTX is one of the main choices for boots for the Navy SEALs, and if that's not a testament to their quality, then I don't know what is. And so far, they've been really great. I mean, they broke in super quickly. Within 15 or 16 miles, they were completely broken in. Even though these don't have the Vibram soles, I found them extremely grippy. They're also very supportive up here. They've got like this little lace loop. I've never seen that on boots before, but yeah, I've been using it and it seems to like really hold your ankle in there really tight. When wearing these, I always wear a pair of these darn tough Hike Trek socks. So I gotta continue with my story from before. So about 3 years ago, back in 2017, I was really hoping to get myself a pair of these Fugitive GTX boots. However, I went to REI and I realized that the Fugitives didn't come in wide sizes. And so I ended up looking at this pair of all leather. I think they were called like the 520 TPS or something like that. They're also made by Asolo, except they do have the Vibram soles, and they're a little bit more expensive. I think they were around like $320 or something like that. So I bought those boots, just thinking that it would be an investment. And you know, at first it definitely was. I wore those around the Pemi Loop in New Hampshire back in 2017. That's a 30-mile hike. And they took a little bit longer to break in than these ones did, just because they're all leather. It's a much more robust shoe. But the main issue I had with those shoes had nothing to do with the shoes. So when you start hiking a lot, the muscles and the tendons in your feet start to like loosen up and spread out. And so your bones actually spread apart from each other and your feet actually seem like they grow. And this had never happened to me before. And apparently it's pretty common, especially in like long trail hikers, Appalachian trail hikers, that sort of thing. But yeah, I basically bought myself a pair of $300 boots, and then like 6 months later, they just didn't fit me anymore. I tried all kinds of leather conditioner and tried lacing them differently, like just like starting the laces a little further up so they'd be a little bit looser and wider, and nothing seemed to work. So I ended up just giving those away after they were sitting in my closet for like a year without me using them. And lo and behold, next time I looked, Asolo started offering these in wide sizes. So these are a 12 wide. So yeah, finally got my hands on some Fugitives that actually fit. And I mean, I don't really know what much else to say about these boots other than I like them a lot so far. They're probably the most comfortable and sturdy hiking boots I've ever owned. My friend Kenny actually has a pair of those leather boots that I was talking about. After I gave my old Asolos away, I kind of didn't think about it for a while until I got these, but then, you know, I went hiking on Mount Musalaki a couple years ago and just hiked Mount Washington a few weeks ago with my friend Kenny, and he actually has a pair of those leather ones and he loves them. It's like his second pair or something. Yeah, it's really just a matter of personal preference. Those are a lot warmer than the Fugitives that I have now, but just whatever you find comfortable and whatever you like. So another topic I want to talk about when it comes to footwear is stability. I feel like there's this big misconception about stability, and that people assume that the higher your boot laces up, that the more stable your boot will be. Whereas I've come to the conclusion that the sole of your shoe plays much more of an important role in stability than, say, how high the laces lace up on your ankle. The reason I came to that conclusion was because of these sandals, Chacos. My friend Henry De La Vega turned me on to these. Check out his Instagram account. He is a magnificent woodworker, and yeah, you definitely should check out his page. But he hiked the entire Appalachian Trail, or majority of the Appalachian Trail and the majority of Pacific Crest Trail, in just these sandals and a pair of darn tough socks. And as you can see, these are pretty extensive sandals. They're very, very wide. There's no way that your feet are gonna slide off the edge of these, just because there's like kind of this boat shape in there, and they're extremely wide and flat on the bottom. And after wearing these, I had to take a new approach to footwear and sort of realize that high laces aren't the end all be all. And so after I got these, I started wearing trail runners. If you saw my how to save money on your outdoor gear video at an REI garage sale, you'll know that I bought these for super cheap, like I don't remember how much. Check out the video, link right here. But yeah, this is my second pair of these. I haven't cracked them open yet, but these are the Ultra Lone Peaks, and I wore these around the Maroon Bells Fort Pass Loop. They're super lightweight. Going with a lighter shoe really helps make up for having to carry a heavy pack, and it definitely makes it easier to go quickly. But you know, when I'm hiking sort of more intense terrain like Mount Monadnock, New Hampshire, Catskills, that sort of thing, you want something with a little bit more stability. When you're kind of on like a slant, say you're standing up on a rock that's kind of slanted and your feet are in there, I'll start to notice my feet sliding forward a little bit in these. Whereas with some of my other shoes, you don't get that quite as much, and you get more sturdiness and stability. This is more about comfort and lightweight and speed, but when it comes to sturdiness and stability, you really want to go with something that laces up a lot tighter. And so I have these Mojito Scarpa Mojitos. They have the Vibram soles, which is awesome, but then they lace up kind of like a climbing shoe where the laces go all the way to the bottom, so you can really just widen up that toe box, and it's very just customizable to however you find it comfortable. You know, I've had these for a couple of years, bought them in Italy on my honeymoon because I didn't have any hiking shoes with me, and they have served me great ever since. However, they are problematic when it comes to wet conditions because, as you can see, the water can just seep in right over the toe, right over there, and yeah, that can be a problem. I wore these in the rain on my Catskills hike last fall with my brother. They were okay. I definitely started to feel a little bit of soreness after walking for a long time in these. Something like a trail runner is definitely going to be more comfortable over longer distances, but something like this is going to give you much more stability and grip on the rougher, rockier terrain. But these guys, these are the real deal. You can basically wear these in any conditions. They are a bit warmer. I hiked Mount Washington in these a few weeks ago, and my feet did get pretty sweaty by the time I got to the top. My heel kind of got a little bit red and raw. I didn't get any blisters or anything, but it was definitely starting to get irritated. So I just wiped down my feet with my new socks and then put a piece of moleskin on my heel where it was rubbing and put a new pair of socks on, and I was fine for the way down. No blisters, no harm, no done. Blah, blah, blah. No harm done. That's really my first impressions of these. I haven't really worn these for more than 3 hikes, so can't really speak to their quality over long periods of time. However, I will say that my dad has owned a few pairs of these over the years. 2 of my brothers have pairs of these. To me, that's a testament to their quality. I don't know if it's, you know, enough evidence for you to purchase anything just yet. I personally had great results in the 3 hikes that I've used these so far, and they're much quicker to break in than the other Asolo boots that I had. Previously, I had been wearing these as my camp shoes whenever I just like wanted to take off my hiking boots at a campsite and just wear something a little bit more comfortable. However, these are pretty heavy compared to most sandals. So I recently bought these Birkenstock plastic. They're like, I call them my Birken Crocs because they're kind of like Croc material, but Birkenstock shape. And yeah, these are pretty comfortable, much more affordable than your regular leather Birkenstocks that I've had in the past. But yeah, we'll see how they hold up over time. But these have become my new camp shoes because they're just so lightweight, and I can just clip them to my bag and just much lighter than these guys. Here, so let's hop on over there to the steps, and I will show you how I like to care for my feet and put my socks on in a specific way that helps keep you blister free and keeps your feet healthy. And yeah. All right, so the sprinklers have been going off here in the backyard. So that actually serves as a really good example for how I care for my feet when I'm out in the field hiking, because oftentimes your feet will get really sweaty, or you'll step in a puddle or something like that, and you'll need to make sure that you dry off your feet so that you don't start to form blisters. When your skin gets wet and you start getting that friction inside your boot, that's when problems start to happen. So this is a method that my dad taught me when I was really young, and then it was reinforced for me when I took a Knowles course in Knowles Teton Valley. It was like a winter ski course. So this is how you do it. So you always carry at least 2 pairs of socks, 1 pair that you're drying and 1 pair that you're wearing. And so the way that you dry your socks when you're camping is that you wear multiple layers when you're asleep, and you put your socks between the layers. So if you're wearing long johns and like a wind shirt, or long johns and like a sweatshirt, you're just gonna put the socks between the long johns and the sweatshirt right over your chest where it's warmest, and that'll push the moisture moisture outwards so that you have a fresh, dry pair of socks when you wake up the next morning. So the first thing I do is I always take my sock and I wipe off the top of my foot, and then I wipe off underneath my toes, and I wipe off the bottom of my foot. And then I take the sock again and I go between each toe. You want to make sure you wipe off any moisture, any of the salt from your sweat, so that there's nothing that's going to rub against your feet or irritate them. Only once your feet are completely dry, you've flossed through each of your toes, should you put on your sock. And then you do the same thing on the other side. So then, yeah, you've got that on there. Then comfortably put on your shoe. Let's cut to a close-up. So I always try to lace the boots up when I'm standing so that my ankle is in the proper position for walking. If you're sitting down, your ankle will be in a slightly different position. If you do this every time you change your socks, you will reduce the amount of blisters you get by a significant degree. Even if your feet don't feel wet and salty, it really helps just getting some of that stuff off. Stand up to tie them, I said before. There you go. And that's really all there is to it. Alrighty, my people, that concludes today's episode of the FinerBub Show. If you've already used the Asolo Fugitive GTX boots, or if you have any suggestions for other boots that you like that I should try, I'd love to have you comment below, especially if you think your insight can help me disprove something that I think I already know. But before you do, I just want to thank you so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. If you're looking for new gear or planning your next trip, don't let the small details stress you out. Remember, life's an adventure, so relax, breathe in the outdoors, and don't forget to appreciate the finer things in life. See you out there, people. Peace.